May peace be unto you. Our today's lecture deals with layering. Some plants are difficult to get to root from cuttings. These plants can often be propagated by a process called layering. In layering, a portion of plant is covered with a soil or other material and the growth of roots is stimulated, while still attached to the parent plant. This method is used when other methods do not work well. There are disadvantages to using layering. The cost of layering is more than any other method because of the high cost of labor required to complete the task. Also, fewer new plants can be started by layering than with the use of cutting. Simple layering. The process of simple layering involves the cutting of notch in the branch or stem of a plant. The wounded place is then covered with the soil, with the tip left in the air. The wound in the plant stimulates the growth of undifferentiated cells called callus cells. This means that they have not been genetically programmed to become a certain type of plant tissue, such as leaf, roots, or stem. These cells become programmed to differentiate into root cells. New roots begin to grow, and a new plant is begun. The portion with the new roots is cut free from the parent plant, and planted elsewhere. Broadleaf plants and shrubs such as rhododendron and magnolia are propagated by this method. Mound layering. In mound layering, the top portion of the parent plant is pruned back in the dormant season. In the late spring, when the new growth appears, soil is mounded up around the base, and part of new growth is covered. But the end of next dormant season, the shots that were covered have developed new roots. These new rootings are separated from the parent plant and planted in another place. Gooseberries are propagated by mound layering. Tip layering. Tip layering is a method by which only the new growth of the tip of a plant is placed in the ground, and covered with soil. The new growth continues to grow downward in the soil. As the new growth continues, roots are formed and new shoots are sent upward out of the ground. The new shoot is removed from the ground and separated from the parent plant. Tip layering is used to reproduce such plants as blackberries, raspberries, and dewberries. Trench layering. Trench layering is used in propagating vines, such as muscadine grapes and philodendrons. This method involves the covering of an entire stem in the soil. The nodes of the stem are notched before the stem is covered, and new roots are formed at the nodes where they were notched. Several new plants can be started from a single limb, using this method. A variation of this method is called serpentine layering. In this type of layering, only the nodes are covered and rest of the plant is left uncovered. Air layering. Layering can also be done without covering plant parts with soil. This method is called the air layering, because the process is done in the air, instead of soil. When propagating woody plants using this method, a healthy fast-growing limb is selected, and a ring of bark is removed. The wound is covered with a ball of sphagnum moss. The moss is covered with polyethylene and tied to prevent escape of moisture. After several weeks, new roots are formed at the place where the bark was removed. The branch is served and the new plant is planted. Herbaceous plants are air-layered, in a similar manner, except instead of removing a ring of bark, a notch is cut in the limb, and toothpick is placed in the notch. The wound is then treated in the same way as that with the woody plants. Air layering is used to propagate large house plants, such as rubber plants, and some citrus trees are also reproduced by this way. That's it for today's lesson. Don't forget to subscribe. And we will see you guys next time.